Iskoolmates!
Dahil ang pagkatuto ay di natatapos sa loob ng paaralan, samahan niyo kami sa isa na namang mainit na talakayan.
Ating pag-usapan ang mga trending issues na bibigyan natin ng kalinawan.
Kaya naman sit back, relax at enjoy this alternative classroom learning experience with your coolest barkada dito lang sa Iskoolmates!
Isigaw ang tinig mo, ihayag sa buong mundo ang karapatan, kalayaan. Buksan ang isip mo, kaalaman ang yaman mo sa karapatan, sa kalayaan.
Paalalang muli sa ating mga kababayan, lagi po tayong mag-ingat at maging aware sa panahon ng pandemya. Sinusulungan ng Department of Health ang Bida Solusyon COVID-19 upang himukin ang mga mamamayan to practice preventive measures to fight the COVID-19 pandemic.
Maging bida sa paglaban sa COVID-19. Saan man tayo pumunta, lagi nating alalahanin na B, bawal ang walang mask. I, i-sanitize ang mga kamay. D, dumistansya ng 1 metro. At A, alamin ang totoong impormasyon.
Ugaliin po natin na ang mga paalalang ito at responsibilidad natin bilang mamamayan ng bansang ito na maging alerto at maagap sa ating sitwasyon ngayon. Umpisahan natin sa ating mga sarili ang pag-iingat para sa mga mahal natin sa buhay at para na rin sa ikauunlad ng bansa. Schoolmates, ating pagdidiskusyonan mamaya ang ating trending topic na civil union sa same-sex couples. Dapat o hindi dapat?
Akin namang makakausap ang isang miyembro mula sa UP Babaylan mamaya tungkol sa kanilang organisasyon at upang kumustahin ang sitwasyon ng kanilang mga LGBTQ students.
Inyong tunghayan sa aking share ko lang ang pagsusumikap ng isang estudyante mula sa Sarangani Province na ibinahagi ng kanyang guro. Schoolmates, maaari rin kayong maging bahagi ng aming diskusyon by commenting your opinions on our social media accounts at babasahin namin yan maya-maya lamang. Lahat ng yan ay ating pag-uusapan, kaya naman guys, tutok lang kayo at magbabalik ang Schoolmates!
Welcome to #trending. Ipinahayag nga ni Pope Francis ang kanyang suporta sa civil union para sa mga same-sex couples sa isang dokumentaryo na ipinalabas nito lamang nakaraang linggo. Ayon sa kanya, may karapatang magkaroon ng sariling pamilya ang mga homosexual people sapagkat sila'y anak din ng Diyos. Kinakailangan din daw ng civil union law for the same-sex couples to be legally covered. May mga natuwa sa pahayag na ito ng Santo Papa dahil ipinapakita nito ang kanyang pagkilala sa LGBTQ community. Sa kabilang banda naman, mayroon pa ring tumutol sa sinabi ng Papa dahil ito daw ay taliwas sa turo ng simbahang Katoliko at sa paniniwala na rin ng huling Santo Papa ni si Pope Benedict. Depensa naman ng Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines o CBCP, ang pahayag na ito ni Pope Francis ay nagpapakita lamang ng kanyang pagkahabag sa mga miyembro ng LGBT community at walang intensyong sirain ng Santo Papa ang moral at paniniwala ng mga Katoliko. Kaya naman ang ating trending topic ngayong gabi, civil union para sa same-sex couples. Dapat o hindi dapat? At para mas maintindihan natin ang ating diskusyon, narito sina Daryl Medios at Marcus Tabin. Punta na tayo sa ating unang tanong. Daryl, Marcus, sang-ayon ba kayo sa civil union between same-sex couples? Simulan natin kay Daryl.
You know what, Gab? I definitely agree that this civil union and same-sex couples, of course, will be legalized here in the Philippines. But of course, I want to contextualize it and give us a little bit of background, rather than on what you have said, right? This problem actually started by our roots of Christianity, right? So these roots of Christianity led us to this idea of conservatism, wherein this conservatism led to different problems such as discrimination, perception of these people that this group of people are not or should not exist, and because of course their idea of conservatism is not, it's against the law, the teachings of the church, and especially the teachings of their morals, right? But it also paved problem, of course, on our issues about our families, right? So this conservative family, if they have for instance a son or a daughter that is part of this community or this LGBTQ A++ community, right? So these family tend to criticize them, right? This, even though it's their own members. Now, I would like to further emphasize that as Filipinos, we value families, right? We value family so much that we will do everything just for our family. But what is happening on the macro lens or in the Philippine context, right? We're only giving this opportunity to have this own kind family to certain group of people. And this family code is limiting these people of same sex to grow their own. How are we going to develop as a country in general if we're only limiting this family on certain group of people that is mentioned on our family code, which is heterosexual, especially man and women? But first, I would like to emphasize that civil union is grounded on the freedom to associate ourselves. And that is engraved in our constitution. So what does that mean, right? We have there is a gift of democracy wherein we have the freedom to choose whom we want to associate ourselves. And that's basically why there's a need that this civil union be passed, especially on our country.
The 1987 Constitution, Article 15, the family, Section 2 provides that marriage as an inviolable social institution is the foundation of the family and shall be protected by the state. Marriage is defined in the family code as a permanent union between man and a woman. The state should protect, therefore, marriage. The state should protect marriage as being strictly between a man and a woman. To legalize same-sex partnerships, although not called marriages, vitiates the institution of marriage which the Constitution provides should be inviolable. Marriage is a natural institution, sacred, not by dictates of faith or religion, but because it is a permanent vocation, resolutely accepted and committed by two rational, consenting heterosexual adults acting in full freedom. It is more than just a contract. It is a new civil status, a new civil state of being that works for the good of the powerful, and is open to life, and thus has permanent and lasting obligations. Civil union is not about the common good. It is simply about the desire of a minority group for recognition, benefits, and protection at the expense of a valued institution. It changes the very definition of marriage by disassociating it from its purpose and its primary characteristics of being generative, unitive, and indivisible. Looking through the status quo, where does the Philippines exactly stand on this issue? Contemporarily, the Philippines does not recognize same-sex marriage nor civil unions. Let's be clear na hindi kinikilala ng batas but not criminalizing same-sex relationships because that would be against the Constitution. At this point of time, it is allowed, it exists, but not legally recognized. Actually, there is at least two pending Congress, one of which is House Bill 2264, an act recognizing the civil partnership of couples, providing their rights and obligations. However, the bill has been long pending with the Committee on Women and Gender Equality since July 2019. What does this imply, given that the Philippines is predominantly Catholic? Even with the inviolable separation of church and state, as stated in Article 26, Section 6 of the Philippine Constitution, di natin matatanggi ang evident influence of the church to the people affecting their personal views and political stand. Hindi natin ipinagbabawal ang anumang same-sex relationships in the eyes of the law. And we are not ruling out the chance that there can be proposed bills relative to this.
Okay, Daryl Marcos, maganda na naihain na iset na natin ng maayos yung mga posisyon natin. Pero Marcos, you mentioned that our country is predominantly Catholic, right? And we are proud to be the only Christian country in Asia. So, tatanungin kita Marcos, panahon na ba para kilalanin ng simbahan ang mga problemang kinakaharap ng LGBTQ community? Panahon na ba para sila ay magkompromiso?
The church cannot be more open as it is right now because it is strictly abide or adhere to the Bible. Hindi natin mapipilit ang simbahan to change their view on what is immoral as provided by the scripture and natural law. Because the nature of the church is orthodox, therefore rigid. What is notable here is that the church does not condemn the people but only discourage the acts. The church is actually very welcoming to the extent that the leader of the church, Pope Francis, cares for them, and recently he expressed his support for the protection of their civil life. So the better question is, handa na ba ang mamamayang Pilipino para maging bukas sa ganitong usapan? The status quo will answer that. Kailangan natin maintindihan na civil unions legalization, not only civil union, but also same-sex marriage, divorce, RH bill, abortion, and even death penalty won't prosper unless it will be accepted by the general mass. Because legislation is a matter of three things. One, the need of legislation. Two, mass acceptance. And three, political will. And civil union lacks two of these three, mass acceptance and political will. Well, the need for legislation is there, but it's not quite strong because it is not deemed as urgently necessary.
Alright, so...
Daryl, yan. Sabi ni Marcos, ang tanong daw ay hindi dapat naka-address sa simbahan kung dapat na ba nilang ikilalanin ang mga problemang kinakaharap ng LGBT. Ang tanong daw dapat ay anggulo sa sambayan ng Pilipino kung handa na ba tayo para sa civil union ng same-sex couples. Sang-ayon ka ba dito, Daryl?
What is notable on what he said is that mas marami daw yung population ng mga hindi nag-a-approve sa civil union, right? That's why what I'm proposing is the state should take the initiative to pass this law because first of all, they are the minority. So what do we mean by minority, right? So they are minority. Basically, hindi talaga nila kayang i-overpower yung majority. That's why they are calling for their rights as well. Kasi first of all, we agree, and it is a concession for both of the houses, that we as Filipinos deserves equality, right? So basically, the argument that mas marami sila na hindi nag-a-approve dyan, ayaw nila yan, does not apply, right? So the state should take the initiative to represent the people in no matter what particular group they are part of. Why does this not goes against the teachings of the church? Ladies and gentlemen, what the church prohibit is the marriage of same-sex couples. Because that's what my partner have said, that's in the Orthodox. That's on the teachings of the Bible.
Right.
So what we are trying to propose is to be catering to these particular people is only a civil union to exercise their right as a children of God. So no matter who or what they chose their life to be, the church should always be open on this particular type of people. Because based on what CBCP has said, si God nga or si Jesus Christ, no matter what sin you commit, He will still accept you.
All right.
And who is the church to not accept that fact?
Right.
So that's all.
Samantala, schoolmates, bago ko bitawan ang ating ikatlong tanong sa ating talakayan, atin munang tingnan ang mga komento ng ating mga netizens na ihatid sa atin ni Trisha.
Salamat, Gab. Hindi lamang ang mga debaters natin ang pwede makialam sa issue natin ngayong gabi. Siyempre, kayong mga schoolmates natin na nanonood sa kani-kanilang mga tahanan ay pwedeng makisali sa ating diskusyon. Kaya naman, aking babasahin ang mga opinyong pinadala ninyo ng ating mga netizens. Uunahin ko na si Che Lawag. Sabi ni Che, as an individual and part of the LGBT community, I believe it is time to provide such law for us. Since there's marriage for man and women, I think it is this time that we are fighting for equality and humility. We deserve to be heard, and civil union doesn't really hurt anybody, especially when two people are loving each other. Sabi naman ni Josh Kureg, para sa akin wala namang problema ang same-sex couples here in the Philippines. The problem is that judgmental people who judge them easily without knowing their story. We are all human beings and we all should be treated equally. Hashtag IKM Civil Union. Sabi naman ni Bullet, Timbreza Olivar Jr., in connection with that, I see no problem of legalizing the civil union between the two same sexes as long as they are maturely able to take responsibility with their actions towards their community. We need to focus on the advantage of passing the law for the sake of diversity, equality, and freedom. I totally agree. To live normal, happy, and contented life. So, ayun guys, keep those comments coming kasi maraming salamat ulit sa ating mga netizens na patuloy lamang kayong magpadala ng inyong mga komento at opinion dahil maaari pa rin po kayong bumota sa ating mga social media accounts kung saan kayo papaling sa ating topic for tonight. Sa aming pagbabalik ay itutuloy natin ang mainitang diskusyon dito lang sa Schoolmates!
Welcome back, Schoolmates. Ating ituloy ang ating diskusyon ngayong gabi tungkol sa ating trending topic. Civil union para sa same-sex couples, dapat o hindi dapat? Debaters, Marcos, Daryl, ito na ang ating ikatlong tanong. Okay, so pag-usapan natin ang pros and cons nitong civil union for same-sex couples. How will this be beneficial or disadvantageous to same-sex couples or to the LGBTQ community kung sakaling maipasa ito? Simulan natin kay Daryl.
Alright, so I would like to extend on what I have been saying a while back.
Alright.
So it will basically have a society that is more inclusive. So what is happening on the society right now, right? So these same-sex couples, they will criticize them for who they are or what they are, right? Because the perspective of our society is that these people should feel sorry about themselves, that they are wrong in the society and that they should change. Well, basically that is not. Because first of all, we're entitled to choose what we chose our life to be. And that is also a blessing of democracy, right? So basically, if we will be able to have this mindset that these people are already part of our society, then we'll be able to avoid those problems to arise in the future. Not just right now, but basically in future generations. But I would like to emphasize the legal benefits, especially on the Philippine context, right? So basically, if they have this civil union or the state recognized this civil union, the right to adopt and establish a family for these same-sex couples will flourish. So basically, they will form a family. And that's also as what I've said in my introduction, that serves a foundation in the development of society. We're not only limiting it to heterosexual couples, but also to the homosexual couples to take part also in the development of our community. I would like also to emphasize the legal benefits or the labor benefits, especially the paternity leave that is only granted to those married couples. Also the tax laws, the privileges and protection on tax laws, and also the right for consent on medical treatments, also the right on the spouse's body when buried, and also the right for equal visitation, rights on hospitals, and other things like that. So basically, we'll be able to give them the right that they deserve once they belong to the civil union.
So nabanggit ni Daryl Marcos yung mga benepisyong hatid ng civil union. So Marcos, you believe that conformity to civil union will be or might be detrimental to our community. How is this concept, itong civil union for same-sex couples, disadvantageous for our community?
Alright. First of all, let's us imagine a Philippines with civil union. Let us look for the root. Why are we having petitions and proposals for same-sex arrangements to be recognized by the law? That is because of the existence of marriage inequality, right? And we should seek for the adverse of it. And I firmly believe that same-sex marriage and same-sex civil union will not solve the problem. Rather, it will worsen the same. For legalizing same-sex civil union, it's like giving a half loaf of bread. It is a half-baked right. Civil union may be a substitute for marriage, but it is no substitute for marriage equality. Hypothetically, if and only if same-sex civil union is legalized, I will reiterate what I said, that it will not solve marriage inequality, for it does not provide the same legal rights and social acceptance as equality in marriage. Let's use countries which offers both civil union and same-sex marriage. According to the Australian marriage equality, civil unions reinforce stigma and discrimination, for the reason that civil union does not offer the kind of legal equity that comes with marriage. Another, the British Columbia Court of Appeal found that redefining marriage to include same-sex couples is the only road to true equality for same-sex couples. Meaning, if we are only trying to solve marriage inequality, civil union is not the solution. According to California Supreme Court, the fundamental right of equal treatment is only not satisfied by a civil union scheme, but it is breached by them. To this, masasabi natin na civil union accord a reputation that is separate and unequal. Another reason is that civil unions do not offer the same practical benefits as equality to marriage, right? Because civil union is not widely recognized or understood as equivalent to marriage. In a country where both same-sex marriage and civil union is possible, couples both heterosexuals and homosexuals ending up getting married. An example would be in the US. Now, same-sex marriage is legal in 50 states, but not many states recognize civil union. Therefore, when a couple transfer from one state to another, wherein the civil union is not recognized, their status is invalid, and they will end up getting married instead. At kahit ang isang couple are of the opposite sex or the same, civil union does not provide federal protections or benefits. LGBTQ people, most of them, if not all, think that civil union is a stepping stone more than an alternative to marriage. That renders the essence of civil union useless.
Okay, ito na ang huli kong katanungan para sa inyong dalawa. Ano ba ang dapat mas bigyan ng konsiderasyon? Ang karapatang pantao ng LGBTQ community o ang morals ng ating bansa bilang mga Kristiyano?
I strongly believe that morality outweighs legal rights because moral rights are inalienable, meaning hindi kailanman makukuha ng ibang tao mula sa atin bilang tao din. On the other hand, legal rights are customary rights that are based on norms, customs, and laws by society. It varies from one place to another. Furthermore, what we consider legal can be immoral. The laws are susceptible to being unjust. Simply put, sometimes what is legally right is morally wrong. Remember in the past that the law made it legal to enslave and kill black people. It is the same law that let women's lives inferior to men. But on the brighter side, most laws, if not all, comes from moral principles and the natural laws such as stealing, raping, adultery, and etc. Should morality and law be mutually exclusive, na kailangan natin pumili? At the end of the day, a society na walang batas, ngunit moralidad ang siyang nag-govern, ay mas mabuti kaysa sa isang society na may batas nga pero walang moralidad. Ideally speaking. But in reality, thankfully, they can go hand in hand. The preamble itself provides that the Filipino people implores the aid of Almighty God for us to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations. Laws should always codify moral principles, because if we lose our morals, we are destroying the foundations of this noble Filipino society for which our forefathers fought, bled, and died. Morality keeps us human, and the role of humanity is maintaining morality. Yun lang.
Right. Thank you, Marcus. Do you agree with that, Daryl?
Ladies and gentlemen, morality is our perception of what is right or what is wrong, while legal or laws serves as our guidance in order to build a working or a harmonious relationship amongst the people. So basically, if we consider morals superior than legal our laws, it will be chaotic. For example, in a Philippine context where we have a different cultures and we have a different beliefs. Basically, that's irrelevant and will only pose a lot of problems because what is right on Luzon will not be right on Mindanao, right? So basically, that's why we need laws in order to guide us in a certain direction. For at the end of the day, it will be for the benevolence of the Filipino people, right? But I would like to emphasize that what my point is trying to say is that I want to have a certain Filipino context that that morality and laws go hand in hand. How is that, right? So basically, as my partner have been mentioning, these morals, these homosexuals or same-sex couples go against our morals. But as what I've said, I would like to normalize these people by the state backing a certain policy to acknowledge these people as a part of the community. That hindi lang nila na-acknowledge yung babae at lalaki, but basically these LGBTQ community already part of the community.
Thank you.
So imagine a world where we acknowledge them as a normal part of the community, not an exemption, not a privilege. A normal part of the community. Hence, we establish as a new morality, a new perception, a new norm that is what is right. Because actually, that is what is right, that we have or we entitle them of their basic human right. And that is the point, or that is the main point of the morality, to establish what is right and what is wrong. And we want to establish a morality that these homosexuals or these same-sex couples is right on what they are doing. Because at the end of the day, Philippines will be divided and will not prosper if we limit our perspective on a conservative spectrum,
Alright.
but rather be a progressive progressive perspective where we adopt these people into building a certain world that is not only for man and women, but basically for the LGBTQ++ community, wherein that is actually what is right, not just on the morals, but rather that is actually right based on the human right that we all deserve,
Right.
engraved on the Constitution.
Alright, maraming salamat sa mga komprehensibong argumento nyo, Daryl and Marcus, na nagbigay ng kaliwanagan sa usapin ng civil union. Pero marami pa tayong pag-uusapan, kaya kapit lang at magbabalik pa ang Schoolmates!
So we are back, Schoolmates. Ating ipagpapatuloy ngayon ang ating diskusyon patungkol sa civil union para sa mga same-sex couples, and let's delve in more what the LGBTQIA++ community has to say on this. Makakasama natin ngayon ang President ng UP Babaylan, Bella Rivera. Hi, Bella!
Hello, Sky. Kumusta po tayo ngayong araw?
Wow! Yeah. Just for the information of our schoolmates, si Bella po ay aking kaibigan mula sa Universidad ng Pilipinas. Siya po ay naging classmate ko sa Speechcom. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you din po for having me.
Bella, I'll jumpstart our discussion with the statement of Pope Francis in the documentary titled Francesco. And I quote, "What we have to create is a law of civil union. They have the right to be legally protected. And I have defended that." End of quote. Yun yung sabi ni Pope Francis. Your initial thoughts when you heard of this statement, Bella?
Ako sobrang overwhelmed ako and sobrang thankful din ako dun sa remark na yun. Kasi imagine, yung nasa rurok o yung nasa tuktok ng Catholicism, yung parang sugo, kumbaga, or at least yung representative ng Catholicism ngayon, nagpapakita ng support sa LGBTQI community. Parang yun sobrang actually hindi lang siya at least one step forward. Parang kumbaga isang malaking hakbang talaga, di ba? Kahit pa paano. Kaya ayun, parang nakakatuwa siya. But then again, of course, ito yun na yung mga other remarks na at least naiisip namin. Meron tayong kailangan din isipin na we have to really be critical of that remark na din. Parang compare natin to dun sa mga previous history, of course, ng church, even dun sa history din ng kay Pope, dun sa kung progressive ba talaga yung mga chika din niya before, and at least through being critical din, makikita natin kung meron ba ito din talagang magagawa or at least madadalang pagbabago, not just sa Philippines but even dun sa mga rules din ng iba't ibang mga bansa na nakaka-experience ng discrimination yung iba't ibang mga members ng LGBTQI community when it comes to civil union or marriage equality.
But Bella, you mentioned about the being progressive of Pope Francis. Do you think this is a legitimate progressive remark on his part?
Feel ko on an individual level, progressive siya. Kasi even before, parang meron nga siyang chika din naman, di ba, na we should embrace our trans siblings, our trans sisters, even on climate issues. Meron talaga siyang mga nababanggit na kumbaga ay very progressive na stances. But then again, we have to think about the institution itself. Kasi head si Pope ng isang
Just one
institution
person.
na exactly, isang tao lang naman siya, 'di ba? Tignan natin kung meron ba siyang binago in the case ng buong doktrina nung simbahan, 'di ba? Ayun yung gusto din kasi nating malaman. Parang of course, importante na siya nagsusupport, pero yung simbahan ba ay totoo nang sinusuportahan yung same-sex marriage or same-sex civil union? Ayun kasi talaga yung at least ayun yung mas malaking pagbabago kasi ayun yung makakabago ng mindset ng milyong-milyong mga tao.
Right. Pero
diba?
Bella, 'di ba? After nito maraming bumatikos kay Pope Francis, no?
Exactly.
With regard na other misconstrued na he's supporting same-sex marriage. Pero ano bang kaibahan netong civil union for same-sex couples sa same-sex marriage? Kasi ito yung question ng nakararami, even the Catholics in the Philippines, even ang mga konserbatibong mga pare ay question ito. So ano ba itong sinasabi ni Pope Francis na civil union? Anong kaibahan nito sa same-sex marriage?
Okay, so same-sex marriage kasi I think yung pagkakaiba din talaga or at least yung pinalilito yung mga tao ay of course, when we say marriage, parang ang connotation nito ay pagdating talaga sa simbahan. So in my opinion kasi, kung like same-sex marriage, okay, sige, wag niyo na kami bigyan ng opportunity pagdating dyan kasi that is a very religious context. But when we say same-sex civil union kasi, ito na yung pagdating sa mga batas natin. And dito talaga kasi din yung hinahabol ng karamihan ng mga queer couples, diba? When it comes to that, parang magkakaroon na sila ng conjugal property, meron na silang pagkakataon na maging kumbaga spouse doon sa mga certificates na kailangan talaga. Of course, nagiging sila yung emergency contacts kasi 'di ba meron mga cases na hindi pinapabayaan or at least hindi binibigyan ng pagkakataon na mag-decide yung mga asawa or at least mga partners when it comes to important decisions dahil hindi naman sila considered na asawa pagdating sa mga certificates. So ayun yung mga hinahabol natin para at least 'di ba kung ano yung mga property na makukuha maibibigay nila sa kanilang mga anak or at least sa mga adopted na anak, ganun, etc. Ayun yung hinahabol talaga kasi ayun yung importante pagdating talaga sa batas. And I guess dito talaga dapat dumating yung separation talaga ng church and ng state kasi 'di ba nai-impede talaga yung karapatan ng karamihan sa atin, ng karamihan ng mga couples na hindi talaga nabibigyan ng opportunity na mamuhay ng maayos dahil nawala silang karapatan na hindi nila fully natatamasa.
Right. Bella, so we are talking about the legal protection that LGBTQIA++ community members would want to enjoy as basic right as normal heterosexual couples. But can I delve into that, Bella? Sorry, ano-ano ba yung mga to? Ano-ano tong mga legal protection? You mentioned as emergency contact. On what fields do this play?
Okay. First, important dito yung sa mga ospital, for example. Di ba minsan, medyo mahirap dyan kasi kapag in case of death, of course, minsan hindi pinapabaya ang ibigay yung katawan ng partner na matay. So, paano nila Tapos, isipin pa din natin, baka naman yung parents nung namatay ay hindi naman accepting dun sa relationship. So, hindi nabibigyan ng opportunity na mag-mourn totally yung mga partners. Next pa, of course, sa healthcare din. Merong mga opportunity na bibigyan mo parang magkakaroon ng healthcare package yung buong mong pamilya, but then hindi mo masasama yung partner mo and at least yung mga anak nyo kasi hindi kayo considered na isang family unit, 'di ba? Next nga yun sa property. Diba? Next din ay of course when it comes to spousal privileges na din. And sa employment din mismo yun nga, mga emergency contacts, hindi ka nila may reach totally. May mga benefits talaga na for families na hindi nyo pwedeng ma-afford kasi hindi kayo pamilya. And ayun yung masakit din kasi nakakaawa naman, diba? Imagine working hard for your whole life tapos hindi nyo matatamasa yan sa family. Marang sobrang nakakaawa, sobrang hirap talaga nitong problema na ito.
Bella, I would like to add on to that. I-contextualize natin. Let's give a concrete example. Kasi we know a professor in UP, Diliman, that experienced this na sana hindi ma-experience na ibang tao, na sana hindi ma-experience sa ibang LGBTQIA++ community members, na ipinagkait yung natural right niya for his partner para dun sa mahal niya, hindi ba? In terms of pagdedesisyon nung may sakit siya and even to the last moment po ng kamatayan para magdesisyon kung ano ang nais ng kanyang mahal ay hindi po siya hinayaan. And ito yung pinaglalaban dito, Bella, tama, sa civil union. The rights that heterosexual couples enjoy. And we're not asking for more.
Totoo. Ayun, exactly yun naman talaga yun. Parang hindi kami naghihingi ng special rights. We just want equal rights for everyone. Parang inisip kasi nila, special rights yung hinihingi. Hindi naman namin gusto nang meron kaming voucher sa mga ganito, sa mga ganitong shops. So, wala kaming gustong ganun. Gusto lang namin ng equal rights din. Katulad ng natatamasa ng iilan. Actually, ng karamihan, di ba? Gusto natin talaga pagkakapantay-pantay. Wala kaming gustong extra things. Gusto lang namin yung nakukuha nyo din ngayon.
Bella, where are we now? Nasaan tayo? Nasaan ang lipunan natin when it comes to accepting the LGBTQIA++ members and their rights?
So, totoo lang, I wouldn't say it as accepting. As until now, it's still merely tolerated. Ayun yung mahirap na parang, of course, merong mga researchers na sinasabi, fully accepting na daw tayo. Hindi talaga. Tolerated lang. Kasi ang dami pa rin cases ng harassment, ang dami pa rin cases ng discrimination sa community, di ba? Hindi pa nga natin mapasa yung SOGI Equality Bill, yung ibang mga bills na ilang taon na, 2 dekada nang pino-forward. So, ibig sabihin nun, meron pa rin talagang pagkukulang. Siguro, dual way din siguro sa consciousness din ng mga tao and sa pag-raise ng awareness din. So those are the things that we really have to work on para makamit natin yung mga gusto nating makamit. So ayun, medyo malayo pa, sobrang layo pa ng laban. Mga specific bills na yung pinag-uusapan.
What can we do, Bella, to at least be of help in making the process faster sa nais ng LGBTQIA++ members?
Meron tayong tinatawag na bibingka method, yung parang top and bottom, parang sabay yung tinatrabaho yun. So when we say top, ayun yung pagdating sa mga
Wait,
legislative.
sorry, did you say bibingka? As in
Oo.
yung niluluto?
Yung pagkain na
okay,
bibingka.
okay. Sige.
Parang,
Continue.
when we say
Interesting.
that, parang top and bottom, sabay yung tinatrabaho yun. So pag top, ayun yung legislation. So kumbaga, nagpapasa tayo ng iba't ibang mga bills, hindi naman exactly parang pwede agad na national bills. Pwede rin mga anti-discrimination ordinances sa iba't ibang mga cities and even mga barangay, kahit mga ganon, accepted din yon. The next yun sa bottom, sa mga laylayan or at least on an individual level. So kumbaga, magbabarangay-barangay kayo, mag-raise kayo ng awareness mismo sa mga far-flung areas para at least alam nila, 'di ba, hindi sila in the dark dun sa mga issues na nararanasan ng karamihan. So yun, kumbaga parehan yung pagtatrabahukin. In that way, makaka-raise ka ng awareness pero at the same time, para sa future din ng mga tinuturuan mo right now, matatamasa na nila yun.
We have a long way to go, Bella. Lastly, I wanna ask you, you are the president of UP Babaylan, isang organisasyong sumusuporta at ipinaglalaban ang karapatan ng LGBTQIA++ community. What do you want to say to those people who continuously oppose the rights of the LGBT members?
Okay. Ang ang equality ay para sa lahat. Si Jesus ay namatay hindi lang para sa mga cisgender heterosexual people. Namatay si Jesus para sa ating lahat. Diba hindi naman niya sinabi yun na mamamatay ako para sa inyong mga minamahal ang mga hindi nyo ka-gender. Lahat namatay si Jesus para sa ating lahat. So ibig sabihin, parang nakakahiya naman para sa kanya na tayo ngang mga tao ay parang very selective sa mga justice na binibigay natin, di ba? I hope that you could also extend that equality to your beliefs then and treat everyone with respect and kindness because respect could go a long way. Sana pati ang community ay bigyan mo ng ganyang pagtrato kasi ganyan ang tinuturing sa atin ni God. Para kay God and para kay Jesus, lahat pantay-pantay.
Napakaganda, Bella. We are all equal. Thank you so much, Bella. Marami pa tayong pag-uusapan, kaya kapit lang, magbabalik ang Schoolmates!
We are back, schoolmates. Being a student during this pandemic is really a struggle and sometimes it takes a toll on their morale. Aside from internet connection problems, I'm sure kilala natin to, and the number of activities na binibigay ng mga guro. Paano pa kung kinakailangan tulungan ng isang estudyante ang kanyang magulang para maghanap buhay, para naman makaraos sila sa sitwasyon ngayon? Actually, schoolmates, isi-share ko lang naman sa inyo ang kwento ng isang grade 8 student na si M. Baro mula sa sitio Kisoy, Datalanga sa Alabel, Sarangani Province. Ibinahagi ng kanyang guro na si Ethelbert Dimal Somera na nagtuturo sa Datalanggas Iskisoy Extension School na ang katapangan at katatagan ng kanyang estudyante sa pag-aaral. Anya, dumating na sa punto na kinakailangan ni M na pumili between continuing her studies or giving it up to help her family earn a living. Actually, nakaka-relate talaga ako dito bilang working student din talaga ako. Pero para kay M, kakayanin niya pagsabayin ang kanyang pag-aaral at pagtulong sa pamilya. Ginawa niya ito ng paraan kung saan Pinagsasabay niya ang pagbabasa ng kanyang reading modules habang masugid na binabantayan ang kanilang pananim na paalay, na malapit ng anihin. So, syempre, talaga namang kahanga-hanga mga kabataan tulad ni M, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. So, instead of complaining, makikita natin na humahanap at gumagawa siya ng paraan para harapin ang kanyang mga suliranin at maipagpatuloy ang kanyang landas tungo sa isang magandang kinabukasan. So, kita natin dito talaga na, again, in this pandemic, maraming struggles ang ating mga kabataan. And I think up until now, ako bilang isang working student, nararamdaman ko to na, di ba guys, ngayon nga, di ba? So syempre, I think magandang balita to. It's such a great break for all the heavy stuff that we've worked on and talked about. So ikaw, Gab, ano sa tingin mo about this balita? Magandang balita naman to, di ba?
Mahusay. Ang galing ni M. Sana, Treasures Sky, pamarisan pa siya ng iba pang kabataan, di ba? Siguro, nakikita ko kay M, binalikan niya lang yung whys niya. Why do I do what I do? Yun ay para sa kanyang pag-aaral, pangarap, at para sa kanyang pamilya. So, isang pagbati sa'yo, M, sana ang mga kabataan natin ay makakuha ng inspirasyon sa kwento mo. Ikaw, Sky.
Yeah, you know, Gab, you're right. Trisha, isa siyang inspirasyon. Si Emma isang inspirasyon because meron siyang gustong makamit, meron siyang struggles, meron siyang pakikibaka, and she is doing her best to accomplish this, to do this, kasi meron siyang gustong marating.
Yes.
And itutuhog ko to sa napag-usapan natin with regard to civil union para sa mga same-sex couples. There's this
struggles, no?
continuous struggle sa mga same-sex couples and meron silang gustong ma-achieve and patuloy itong pakikibaka nila na makuha lamang yung karapatan na deserve ng every human being regardless of gender. Gab, what do you think about this issue on civil union?
Napaka-sensitibo, lalo na tayo nakatira sa isang Catholic-dominated country, di ba? Para sa akin, ang batas ng Biblia hindi na mababago. Ako, as a Christian, I believe that the Bible is the Word of God and that God is sovereign. Pero bilang isang mamayang Pilipino, ang ating batas, ang batas ng tao, ay pwede pa rin mabago. Nakadepende sa kalagayan ng sitwasyon ng mga taong nasasakupan nito at sa ating mga mambabatas o leader ng bayan. So punta tayo dun sa ating punto ngayong episode. Dun ba sa naging pahayag ni Pope Francis ay binago niya ba ang turo ng simbahan? Para sa akin, Trisha Sky, hindi naman binago. Binago niya lang yung tono at yung approach sa ating mga LGBT members, di ba? Kasi ang tawag dito coexistence dahil ang mga miyembro ng LGBT ay tao rin katulad natin na hindi perpekto, na mahal at anak ng Diyos. Diba? Yan ay nakasaad din sa ating Biblia. Nirerespeto ko po ang lahat ng klase ng paniniwala, kahit ano pa man ang relihiyon o ang kasarian nyo. Pero para sa akin, tayo ay nasa isang demokratikong bansa at lahat tayo ay may karapatan na magkaroon ng isang legal protection.
You know, Gab, more than the wedding or marriage, ang hiling naman kasi ng mga kapatid natin na LGBTQIA++ community is the respect from the state na pag sila ay nagkasama, ay they would also enjoy what regular heterosexual couples enjoy as married couples. Ito yung sa kalusugan, ito ay sa kanilang pagmamay-ari, etc. I'll share a story sa inyo if you don't mind.
Sige.
Isang professor ko sa UP, meron siyang kinakasama, or kinasama, I would say. He had a partner for 15 or more than 15 years. And sadly, his partner passed on just this couple of months ago. Ang masakit para sa kanya ay hindi siya hinahayaan ng hospital na magdesisyon para sa kanyang mahal, para sa kanyang partner, para sa kanyang katuwang sa buhay. Hindi siya hinayaang mag-decide para sa kanya, hindi siya hinayaang hindi hinayaan ibigay sa kanya yung karapatan na dapat they enjoy as couples, as partners. So itong mga bagay nito, hindi siya pinagdesisyonan kung ano nang gagawin sa katawan niya. Hindi siya pinagdesisyonan kung ano ang dapat nang gawin nung naghihinalo na siya. At ito ang mga sigaw po ng ating mga LGBTQIA++ na mga kapatid. Itong karapatan na ini-enjoy din natin. They're not asking for more. They're not asking na wala tayo. They're just asking what we have, nothing more. Yun po sana. At irespeto natin ito. Hindi natin ini-impose sa iba that na magkaroon sila ng civil union para sa same-sex couples. It would work for them pero hindi nila ini-impose na gawin mo ito. And I think I would like to say how progressive Pope Francis is for standing up for being with everyone regardless of gender. And sana tayo rin ganun ang maging pananaw natin kasi parang mas maganda pakinggan na mas makatao tayo kesa maka-Diyos tayo but we're hating on others.
Yes, I totally agree dun sa sinabi niyo. And makikita din kasi natin dito na yung primary na angulo dito is religion, di ba?
Yeah.
But then, as what we all have said, we respect all beliefs. It's just that kailangan ang basis ng lahat ng ating paniniwala ay respeto pa rin sa kapwa nating tao.
Humanity.
Kasi
Right.
hindi naman mag-e-exist lahat ng mga laws na ito, hindi naman mag-e-exist lahat ng guidelines na ito na ibinibigay sa atin ng relihiyon, kundi rin naman para sa pakikipagkapwa-tao natin
Tama.
at pakikisama natin sa iba pang uri ng mga nakakasama natin ngayon. So, it's just about kapwa-tao, pagkakapantay-pantay, and of course, yung humility.
Pagiging tao.
Yes, and humility na we are no better than
Yeah.
everyone else
Right.
just because of how they live their lives. Kasi hindi naman to question
Yeah.
kung ano ang tama o mali doon sa paano binubuhay ng isang tao ang sarili niya. Kung hindi, ang tanong ay paano mo pinakikisamahan ng isang tao regardless kung iba man yung paraan niya ng pamumuhay than you. So, I think magandang usapan din to, no? And I
Yeah.
hope patuloy pa rin natin pag-usapan to dahil hindi lang siya dapat natatapos dito sa episode natin. At guys, ang isa pang nakakatuwang balita bukod sa napag-usapan na natin tong episode na to ay nakakatuwa ang ating mga schoolmates na very enthusiastic and supportive sa ating shows. I'm sure nakikita niyo yun sa ating mga IG stories. Tulad na lamang ng ating isang schoolmate na si Francisco Salazar Manicdao. Eto guys,
Wow.
dream daw niya maging schoolmates host. So malay mo, ikaw na next dito.
Right.
Sana
Kaya
po.
naman, panoorin po natin ang video na ito.
Everyone, I'm Francisco Salazar Manicdao from BAPS 3-1 and now going to tackle one of the 12 Olympians, which is the goddess of love, fertility, procreation, and pleasure, which is Aphrodite. And now, without further ado, let's get started.
Wow, di ba? We started as this guy. We started
Yeah.
as this person wanting to do something.
Yes.
Ah,
Dreaming of something.
Diba, managinip ka, you dream, you strive to do better para maabot mo yung pangarap mo. Saludo kami sa'yo. I hope maybe in the future makasama ka namin
Yes,
dito when
malay
things
mo.
are better. Malay mo, pag tumanda na kami, hindi na kami schoolmates, ay ikaw ang nandito
Yes.
at magkakaroon ng representasyon sa mga kabataan. So, maraming
Right.
salamat sa iyo. At maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga schoolmates po na nanonood at patuloy na sumusuporta po sa amin every now and then sa bawat episode na nanonood kayo, nakaantabay kayo, tinatangkilik niyo po kami. Maraming salamat.
Right. We are very thankful for the support that we've always been receiving, pati na rin ng mga messages, comments, at sa pagsali nyo sa aming mga diskusyon.
Kaya naman, para ipagpatuloy pa ang ating next episode with that, sa bawat usapin, sa bawat issue, may boses tayong mga kabataan.
Sumali, makinig at makiisa dahil opinion niyo ay mahalaga.
Kaya naman sabay-sabay nating isigaw sa buong mundo. Schoolmates!
May pakialam ka!